Yeah, okay, whatever. This is cool. I'm not sure what's cool. I already lost my train of thought. That
I
this
don't
is
know what it
my
is. It's probably cool.
My avatar is cool. It's farm out, man.
Oh, I know it's cool. Nobody's watching. But then Nerdy Rodent is here. So anyway, so I made an honest mistake the other day. No, and I'm just saying, I'm kind of defending myself. I just want to know. Okay, like watch this, and just tell me, what do you see there? Okay, what do you see?
Hair clog.
I saw hair color. That's an honest mistake, right?
And if you're going to get drain cleaner, just buy the lye, because that's all
really from the distance, it looks like hair coloring, right? Yeah, it does. So, I mean, just...
Is that for Halloween?
Yeah, I guess that would be Halloween. There's sodium hydroxide in that shit, so... Problems with perception, What do we perceive and when? Oh my God, I've been watching Donald Hoffman and Rasmussen videos. Somebody got to stop me. It's kind of amazing, but when you run into these people that are real thinkers, I mean, real educated people who think hard, when they come up with God, inevitably, it's because of this whole thing about the mind and consciousness. It's always at the beginning of it. And then the same thing, like Donald Hoffman, he was going on about how we don't perceive reality the way it really is at all, because it's highly unlikely. If we evolved, he says it's like almost zero probability that we would perceive the universe the way it actually is. So anyway, that's his whole point. But then today I realized that he's also a mind first kind of guy. I mean, he's another one of these fuckers that, it's like, oh, obviously physicalism is dead. Materialism is dead. And then I saw another book, 10 books that will destroy materialism for you and change your life. And you'll no longer be a materialist if you read these books.
So one main... not really argument, one main assumption of his whole approach is that materialism and physicalism are dead.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice little leap. Sure.
Is it all just an illusion?
Easier to assume everything away.
Is it all just an illusion? Is that what he's...
He kind of... let's take a look at what ChatGPT has to say about Donald Hoffman. Where are we here?
Is there really an actual reality anyway? I guess maybe
a real one.
If you assume a God that can, take a God's eye view, and really is competent to do that, then maybe. But that's just another assumption.
Yeah. So. Can you read that?
No, I mean, if I get real close to the screen, I can. It needs to be enlarged a bit.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Oh, maybe I do. Let me drag it over here. Oh my God, there's the AIG people.
There's I saw Stepford that. Wives.
I just saw that. It was terrible.
Oh my God, the thing about they're after the transgender people again.
Yeah.
Okay, the laws that they're passing are that if a student basically shares something about their identity or a problem that they're having with the teacher, there's a law that says that the teacher can't automatically report it to the parents, right? So now, if that child came to the teacher and said, my dad is treating me with red pepper and honey and beating me, and then treating the wounds with red pepper and honey, go and call the parents and say, hey, your son told me that you're beating him, right? Is that what happens? So
Nope.
all they're trying to do is they're trying to give the kid his own autonomy, their own autonomy, basically, so that, they can possibly share something in school that their parents don't automatically hear about because their parents may not be okay with it. Their parents may indeed be beating them. Did you hear about that fucking YouTuber? She's a Mormon. She got arrested for child abuse. Everybody must have heard about her, right?
Yep.
Yes.
She was treating the wounds that she was creating with rope and duct tape with red pepper and honey. Can you imagine how that felt? Just honey alone, if you put it in an open wound, burns like hell. But if you add red pepper to it, I can't imagine what it would do to you. I don't know. But anyway, she's going to jail. Oh my goodness, people.
Was it the voices in her head?
Yeah, probably those. Let me see. PT.
It'll make a good defense.
See if I can blow this up a little bit. Let me Alt plus it a little bit. Ooh, I Alt plussed it. And yeah.
It makes a good defense that you can say the demons told me to do it.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got here? Oh my goodness. I've got my let's make it a little bigger. There we go. Okay. Donald Hoffman, a cognitive scientist, presents a provocative argument against what is traditionally called naive realism. Naive realism is that, there are real things in the universe, that sort of thing, just because I see them. What am I listening to? Is that me? Are you playing?
Oh, no, a motorcycle just went by with...
Okay, I thought Scott was playing the trumpet.
It's nice. I got the windows open. I'm trying to enjoy it before it's gone here.
My first thought was he needs to practice more. Okay. Naive realism, or the intuitive notion that the world we perceive with our senses corresponds directly to the objective reality out there. Okay. Here are the key elements of his argument. Okay, this is it. The evolutionary argument. Hoffman argues from an evolutionary game theory perspective that the truth, that is, accurate representation of reality, does not necessarily promote fitness. Organisms that perceive only what is useful for their survival and reproduction, even if that perception is not true or accurate, would have a selective advantage. In other words, perceiving reality as it might not be, as it is, might not be an evolutionary advantage. Now I want to mention my two cats, Loki and Thor. I went outside and I picked up a key off the table because I was going to go out the back gate, and I said, Loki and Thor, relax. And they jumped up, hair sticking out, boom, boom, ran through the cat door and went and hid under the waterbed. Okay, now they didn't perceive reality exactly as it was being presented to them. But so anyway, that's what he's talking about. But his whole theory, and he does some mathematics with probability and stuff like that, and he shows that we couldn't have possibly evolved to perceive reality as it is. Now, I'm gonna not agree with him and agree with him just a little. The way we perceive reality is through the senses that have evolved. And we have, 5 or 6 of them. I think we have 6. Well, I think we have like 12. But anyway, the 5 standard ones that, and there could be another animal that has a different set of senses, sonar, that sort of thing. Bats are, tuned to sonar or whatever. And they're going to end up with a different reality. But it is still going to be reality from the perspective of what that organism is and how it is related to the world, right? And however that is a perspective on reality. So if bats have a different perspective on reality than we do, what you're looking at is like 2 intersecting circles. Now a bat will have the sonar and we'll have we'll be more visual than the bat, right? but there's an intersecting part. We both feel things, we both have proprioception, we can both smell things, and we're going to be perceiving reality as it is. How else could you perceive reality? What the hell is that?
Let me make it smaller. The title of this talk that this fellow right here, if you may recognize him, had with SJ is God's fingerprints in our DNA/RNA with none other than orange gelatinous himself.
Brazilian douche canoe himself.
Exactly.
I was there. Scroll down, my comments in there.
Oh, cool. We got to see this. Let me see if I can pull it up. That's
That's
for
not
mine. Let's see, view replies. It's not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Of course, this is on Twitter, just kind of showing
okay.
the YouTube. I can go deeper, I think. No, never mind.
That's not a big deal. I was in the live chat though.
Can't you go to the video?
I was there.
That's awesome. And I do apologize for interrupting. I just thought this was so outlandishly funny that I had to show it.
Yeah, I spotted it the other day. Then he's got the interface theory of perception, but then at the bottom, he calls it conscious realism. Let's see, where objective reality consists of conscious agents and their experiences, not space, time, or physical objects. He proposes that the world is made of networks of interacting conscious agents. And he insists that they're going to be developing mathematics to prove this. And I'm like, I'm going to hold my breath. Let's see. Rooted in the idea that our perceptions, so serve, okay, more as a user interface, traditional physical. Anyway, he's a mind first kind of guy, so it's like somehow all these interacting conscious agents create this illusion of the physical universe, and there is no physical universe. There's only conscious agents. So we're souls, conscious souls, in the middle of a big soup, right? We don't know what the soup is made of, but we're in the middle of this big soup, and we construct this user interface that makes it look like, just like we're playing a video game, makes it look like there's an actual physical cosmos out there. And so he's denying that exists at all. He doesn't believe in space, time, matter, objects, anything. That's where he's coming from. And he is gaining momentum, this guy. He's on everywhere, and people are talking about him. So anyway. Yep.
Any warmed over trope.
Yep.
People go crazy for it.
Yeah, I cared more about this before, but The Myth of the Given is by Wilfred Sellers, and I mentioned it in one of Rasmussen's. I did a comment in Rasmussen's video this morning, and I said, Wilfred Sellers, checkmate. I don't know if he's going to respond or not, but anyway, that's why I named this Myth of the Given. But other than that, I really don't care what we talk about, gentlemen. We can talk about anything we want.
Well, I was just going to say, I agree with, we don't have to perceive reality as it is, because you've got your fight or flight, where if you hear a twig snap, it's better to run away, even if there was nothing coming after you.
Right, but did a twig snap in the woods if there was nobody around to hear it?
Well, Bigfoot did it, but...
Oh, okay.
It's always Bigfoot, man.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, Bigfoot did it.
It's Bigfoot that shaved all those bears that people mistake for Bigfoot. So it's kind of a circular thing.
Yeah, the thing is, okay, if there was no reality at all, if we were just these conscious points of, soul, and we had no conception of objects or anything real at all, because that's the way we'd have to start out, right? That's where our epistemology would begin. And that is the way babies begin. They have no conscious concepts for objects or things that are behind other things or any of that, right?
You know, a Catholic once refuted me with this particular reply. Oh yeah, how do you know they don't?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was a high level debate.
I guess I've got to admit it's a what I would call an educated guess that babies don't have any.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever watched a baby poke itself in the eye? Like a 1 or 2 day old baby, their arms are flailing around, and about the only thing they can do is find a nipple or
That's
anything
true.
that looks like a nipple.
You got to put the gloves on their hands so they don't scratch their face all up too.
Yeah. So when my daughter was like, I don't know how old she was, maybe she could crawl, right? And I worked at a bakery, so I came home and I'd pass out on the couch on my back, because I worked midnights. And Carol put Faye on me, and Faye started crawling up, like heading for my face, right? And Carol watched her, and she got up to the point where she saw my nose, which is rather large, and she plunks her mouth on my nose and starts sucking. That's what she saw. I looked like a big boob to her. Thank you, kid.
Well, that's still what we were talking about the other day, is that he only seems to apply this since we became conscious. But what about all the species that manage to, go about their business that really don't have any idea thinking about it or anything? They just,
Right.
they're not pondering
Reality.
reality or anything. They're just doing their thing. They're eating and reproducing and trying not to get eaten themselves.
Yeah. But anyway, Donald, is it Donald? Yeah. Hoffman thinks he's going to come up with the mathematics to prove that we would have come up with space-time if we were separate little points of consciousness interacting with each other. And I don't think he's got a leg to stand on. Where is he even going to start with that?
All the worms are going to get together and figure it out.
I mean, think about it. Okay, what is happening here? I mean, you've got all these little points of just awareness, right? Consciousness that pop up. Okay, unless he's going to insist that he doesn't believe in time, so I guess they would already have all the knowledge that they needed. I don't know. But anyway, these points of awareness, okay, aren't even located in space and time. So there's no distance between them. There's no metric, right? That, for instance, this one would be further out, right, than these other four. They wouldn't even have that. They would have nothing. And somehow they're going to construct the entire cosmos. I don't understand how he's going to present that argument or present that mathematically. Doesn't make any sense to me. Make any sense? How would completely new points of consciousness construct a common reality between them? What would they base it on? What would it end up being?
I'm having trouble with that language.
With the language I'm using?
Well, a point of consciousness.
Well, okay, there's souls, right? There's souls, and there is no space-time or anything. They're just souls out there.
Gotcha.
And these souls, but there's more than one, according to Hoffman. So it's an interacting network of souls. And this interacting network of souls projects and develops this illusion of space-time. And yet he's appealing to evolution. Now, if you're appealing to evolution, there's a whole fuck ton you got to accept about physical reality, right? Do you see the flaw in
It
this?
just seems like a rehash of a lot of stuff with the spirituality things over the years. He's just putting a new spin on it.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, and I think
you remember the Celestine prophecy when that book was going around?
Oh man, I loved that fucking thing
That's
when I was in my midst of my midlife crisis.
yeah. That had a
That
similar
was my
tone to it. That you put everything back in, and you grow your own food, and all these energies are coming back and forth, and everything's going to slowly unify across the universe. And
yeah. I think what I loved about the Celestine prophecy is the romance that that backlit the first book. The developing romance which he had to give up. He had to give up his attachment. But anyway, like in my midlife crisis, romance was like the first fucking like the only thing on my mind. I should have been more concerned about my children than romance, but
it's
in
yeah,
retrospect,
I'm getting a lot of hints of just it's that spirituality thing that
yeah.
So
talk to
when
the
was this book
trees
written?
or whatever. The
What's that?
Celestine.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Oh
Well, you
shoot!
don't know about this
I
guy?
read it like back in the '80s or something like that.
80s? No, I've
Oh,
never heard of
they,
that
they
book.
didn't have that in Texas. They didn't have that in Texas.
Well, in the 80s, I wasn't in Texas, so
It's
Okay.
a short book if you want to get it. It's not very long.
I'm
nah.
afraid to ask you, Scott. Where were you?
I was in
Were you in
Arkansas.
Arkansas? Yeah, they didn't have it there
They
either.
have it there.
They skipped Arkansas. Didn't figure
Yeah, they
to
were
waste their
afraid.
time.
Oh, they wouldn't have allowed any kind of devil worshipping motherfucking demon shit like Celestine prophecy down south. There was like they built a wall that the book could not pass through. Basically, there's no
Okay.
way because it was just all well, devil, 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 demon, devil, devil, demon. That sounds like a good start for a song. Devil, devil, demon. We can make a song. I digress.
You deconvert man. He'll start singing.
Oh fuck yeah! I should send him a link. Would that be fun? I sent James one. He ignoreth me. He doth ignoreth me. Why do they talk like that? Who the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah, they put that all in the King James Bible too.
Yep.
Now we're gonna have the little kids stand up in front of the church and read from the King James Bible. As at thus doth ye
Yeah.
Espazaganadaredabas. It always bothered
Yeah.
me that they changed some people's names to English, like John and James, and then they leave these other ones in there that are 10 consonants with no vowels, and they stick you up there in front of the either the Bible study or Sunday school or the church or whatever, and they expect these little kids to read that. It was always the worst part of reading the Bible. At
Shadrach,
least the
Meshach, and
king.
Abednego. That was always a fun one to try to spit out.
Yeah, and then they would string them together, and he begat and was son of, and they all got son of a gun names.
I remember a little bit about when my mom was dragging me to church, and that was one of the things that I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like 8 years old, and I'm like, what the fuck? Couldn't you have translated that?
or
Couldn't
at
you have
least
gone a little?
yeah, at least change them to Bob and Sam, and like they did with the other ones.
Well, doth. I mean, Christ, if I talked to my dad like that, he would have smacked me.
It
Doth
is
Dad want me to chop the wood?
it is hard to read.
My dad would have smacked me upside the head if I talked
But
like that.
it sounds kind of it's like when they use Latin in the scary movies or something. If you use a certain wording or something, all of a sudden the magic spell works or whatever, right? You can't just say it in English. You can't say demon appear. You have to be demoneth appeareth thus, and you know doth.
Yeah, you got to sound holy. Now, Ellen Watts made a case for like if he said if he were to be a Christian, he would choose to be a Catholic because he liked the fact that they used Latin back then, back in the 60s. They used Latin in their church services because he said the whole thing about Catholicism it really felt holy. Like you walked in there and you felt like something really big was going on, right? like these big dark churches that were, with all the stained glass windows and all the figures, and everybody was like all solemn and talking in Latin and all that stuff. And he said that was a really good path to a different way of thinking, to a spiritual way of thinking. And I kind of agree with him. I think the Latin was made it sound cooler.
I was,
Piggy.
I was, a little naive in my youth, but I always kind of respected the priests and the nuns in a way, dedicating themselves, and it did. It seemed like Catholicism was more religious. They were serious, right? They had to do, you had to do all the things. You had to go to confessions and everything, and of course, found out that a lot of it was dirty rottens, just being fakes. But yeah, it does. I agree. It always did give the image of being, quote, more serious because of all the pomp and circumstance and everything.
Yep. Pipeline audio. It's crazy how often you can substitute Chalmers for every time you say Hoffman. So at least Pipeline audio appreciates the fact that I wanted to talk about consciousness.
Pipeline's a very deep dude, or dudette. I don't know which, but
I do that. I'm going to do something crazy right now. Really crazy. Crazier than mistaking hair clog for hair color.
hey, let's ask Simon Funk if he wants to debate Otangelo Grasso on S.J. Hoffman's channel about Origin of Life.
I also would do it.
S.J. Thomason.
Who did I say?
Hoffman.
Oh.
It's okay. Everybody knows her as S.J. If you look up S.J., she's got a post that Otangelo wants to, and it specifically wants to debate an atheist about abiogenesis. Not asking for a
Buddhist.
a related field, some kind of biologist, or whatever that field specifically
geneticist
is. Geneticist, right?
If I thought that Otangelo could hear a single word that I said in a debate, I would actually bite on that, right, and go talk to him. But it's like he doesn't hear a single word you say. He gets that potted plant look, and he is indeed as if he is a potted plant, because he doesn't hear a fucking thing you say.
He's just thinking.
Nitty does a great impersonation of him too.
Inside, he's just going, I wish that person would be quiet so I can make my next point.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not even going to attempt the pseudo Kermit the Frog sounds that he makes.
Nitty was in the live chat with me too.
Ooh, eliminativism.
And at the end of the show, she said, "Oh, and I see people in the chat, Captive Desk and Bread of Life. Oh, I want to have some of you on my channel." And I'm thinking, you don't really want to have me on your channel.
Sorry, dudes. My phone went off.
I really don't think they want me on their channel, because they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear.
That's it. They've got their palms over their ears.
Oh, they got me irritated. And even James jumped in and said, me, and I think he said Seth Andrews, because they were doing the old, atheists are abused and this and that, and that's why they don't believe. And I'm like, no, I had a good childhood. People at church didn't touch me or nothing. I was naive. I thought church people were nice people. I was in Scouts. I didn't have any problems at Scouts. We always had food in the house. My parents did get divorced, but it wasn't until we were older, and they remained friends. It was just my dad was having some issues, and it put a strain on the relationship, but it wasn't anything serious or anything. He just had a few issues he had to deal with. But overall, I don't fit the mold for hating God, or because I got abused, or our parents didn't spank us. And I always tell the story, my grandfather, when my uncle was skipping school and disrespecting his mother because she was taking him right to the door, he took him down in the basement one evening and had a little discussion with him. And my mother said, you never heard him raise his voice or anything. And after a few minutes, they both came back up out of the basement. And my uncle flew straight after that day. So there's no history in our family of, abuse or anything. It was always loving. Grandparents were loving. None of that. And they were just going off. And it's like, yep, nope, that's just a straw man. It's like, I don't have any of that. I just don't believe you. And so that was my comment. It was like, no, I just don't believe you. That's it. That's it. So I was a little irritated.
Definitely irritating.
But SJ has a reputation for it too, because one of my videos I made was responding to her questions atheists can't answer. And my response was basically, we don't have to answer any of that stuff. Being an atheist doesn't make you a physicist or a chemist or an astronomer or a biologist or anything. It's just, where'd the universe come from? I don't know. Where'd consciousness come from? I don't know. There's people working on that. When they find out, I'll let you know.
Pipeline, I'm sure what you're saying is amazing. I just don't know what the hell you're saying.
Oh, they're all big on the one world government over there too, and it's like,
oh, okay.
Isn't that projection when a religious group claims other groups want to rule the world? Isn't that their goal? I mean, at the end of the Bible, isn't that what happens at the end of, well, the Quran is kind of mixed up, but in the Quran and there's always this big ending where we're going to, be victorious in the end, and everybody's going to be our religion and we're going to run things.
Hello.
I was greeting you, Simus, but I didn't realize I was muted. How you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. Yeah, no, look, I mean, thanks for the asking, obviously, but I know fuck all about abiogenesis, or as the Christians like to call it, evolution.
Well, neither does Otangelo.
You know what I mean? So, there's that. And then, of course, it's Orthangelo. And then secondly, it's on S.J. Tomlinson's or whatever her name is, channel. So there's 4 reasons. And then fifth reason is I've never heard him make anything other than an argument from ignorance. So there you go.
That is true.
So I've already defeated him just by saying it's an argument from ignorance. So thank you for the win, by the way, SJ. Appreciate that.
I do like basically that Otangelo produces these wonderful documents for us. I was gone for a minute, by the way. I had a phone call. Like this one, right? What I do hate is the ads that he has on his cat's board. But he calls this El Shema Ministries now. What the fuck is that?
No idea. I'm going to look it up.
Okay, don't you get these emails from Otangelo?
Fortunately, I know.
Okay, I get a bunch of them, man.
So he's changed his identity?
If there's any argument for God I can think of, it's that I don't get these emails from Otangelo.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't want to.
Well, what I really like about it is he's got a whole lot of stuff in here that, turns out to be a really good study guide if you want to get into molecular biology, He's got the homeobox and MyoD gene and patch 6 and nanog and all the highlights here. And he goes ahead and he shows you a gene regulatory network. And it's like, oh my God, God must have designed that. Well, I'll tell you, that's a mess, God. You could have done better.
Wow, that is a mess.
That is a mess. I mean, Jesus, couldn't you have just okay, if you're designing a machine and you design it, I remember when I was a little kid, I got obsessed with designing perpetual motion machines. And I used entire notebooks, right, with one that, you know, it was a Rube Goldberg sort of thing, you know, because you kept having to solve problems because you were using energy, right? So you had to do something about that and something about that. And that's what you end up with. This is totally Rube Goldberg. And then he goes down and he's got like, it's really good. And then, you know, you go down and you get links and all kinds of stuff. It's really, oh, but then.
Here's a stupid, unrelated question. When somebody refers to you disparagingly as a rube, are they like saying you're a Rube Goldberg, or
I don't know.
is that unrelated?
Let's ask ChatGPT.
Did you hear it right? Was it Rube or Noob?
Noob
Rube
Goldberg.
is kind of like related to like redneck or something. It's
Yeah.
like simplistic type person.
Interesting.
Anyway, at the very end, Otangelo comes on with one or, you know, 2 or 3 paragraphs about his idea about how God did it. God must have done it. God did it. Whatever. But anyway, I do appreciate his summaries, and I think they're pretty good. Why am I? Oh, I'm getting these Operation Smile ads. Google must know that I talked about it. Anyway, so I don't mind getting these, and I appreciate Otangelo creating the little study guides for me so I can review my molecular biology. And you know, I just don't read the last 4 paragraphs where he goes off about intelligent design and all this bullshit.
I get all the project smiles and everything now too, because I put those links in my video.
Oh, you got a box of drugs. Oh boy, you're gonna share?
Big old box of drugs. Jeez.
Big old box.
My son's diabetic. He just got it must be his insulin because it comes in a cooler. So it's a big old box.
Shema means there, apparently, in Hebrew. So El Shema, if it wasn't in Hebrew, would mean the there. And perfect. And I guess El Shema, I think it means Yahweh, there.
There God?
Yeah.
There be God.
But, I mean, in Hebrew, El means Yahweh, I think.
Yeah, just look at those gene regulatory networks. And, you know, like, I've been working on bioinformatics databases, you know, NCBI and all of the related gene cards and Uniprot and all that stuff. And my first impression was God must have designed this because it's so fucking complex that humans couldn't have possibly designed this. All these databases had to be God. So anyway, God created the NCBI and the Human Genome Project.
Why? That's my question is always why. If we're just basically a spiritual being that's all magical, spiritual and everything, why?
Yeah.
We could just have magic smoke inside of us. And like your computer or anything else, when the magic smoke escapes, you expire.
Yeah, I would have preferred magic smoke.
That's an old technician's joke if anybody doesn't get it. Oh, we used to ask the customer, did the magic smoke escape? Then you need a new one.
Yep, a new one. Yeah, I had customers when I first started in the computer industry. I was a manager of technical services for a chain of computer stores, and basically, my boss treated me like I was some kind of fucking magician. Like, you know, I mean, I'd pull it into the lab and I'd start pulling boards out and doing all kinds of stuff and talking gobbledygook to him. And he was like, "Oh, I just love when you talk like that." And I had some customers that were the same thing. It said like, "Oh my God, I just love when he talks like this." It's like, you know, you're talking. It was just amazing. But they treated you just like you were some sort of a magician. And that was kind of gratifying when you were a early microcomputer tech, right? Pretty cool. Yep. All I had to do was go in her office and wear some kind of grass skirt and dance around and make, you know, chant technology terms, and their computer got fixed.
I always kindly and gently as possible reminded numerous customers who paid me to come out and turn it off and turn it back on again.
Oh, yeah.
That is the first thing that's in the troubleshooting guide in the book that you get with your machine. and some of them were not happy. They had to pay me $80. This was back in the day. This is decades ago. $80 an hour plus travel to come in and say, turn off, turn back on. There you go. It's working all fine.
Was that
And then
before
the
they had
look
phone support?
Oh, the look on their face. That's when I used to get paged. The pager would go off. Oh, man.
When I did electronics training back in the 70s, the TV course, the instructor told us the first thing you do with the TV is you just give it a good smack upside the you just kick it a little bit, right? And that'll tell you something. It'll tell you whether it's a short or, you know, an intermittent circuit or whatever. And he said that's the very first diagnostic thing you do.
Or you could create a short by doing it.
Yeah, you could. Well, you don't want to do that in front of the customer, though, because, you know, that would...
Then they would become abusive.
They would become abusive.
Customers don't want to see when we're driving their cars all crazy trying to recreate the noise either.
Right. Yeah, they didn't want to see that. It makes this noise.
Yeah, it seems like what happens is the Hail Mary solution to things becomes the common standard practice. It's like, you know, oh, I got a problem with my computer. Okay, just turn it off and turn it back on. Doesn't necessarily fix the problem. It just sort of it resets everything so it won't come up until later again.
Yeah, it gives the customer something to do while you're billing them.
Simus, what's the topic going to be this Friday on your Onion Talk?
It hasn't actually been completely decided yet. It could be, depending on who we get on, it could be either what have the Romans ever done for us?
What have the Romans?
Yeah, the Romans.
Okay.
What did the Romans ever do for us, or what have the Romans ever done for us? Obviously, Monty Python quote there. And I don't know. Let me just have a look at my thing. There's possibly another one. Is Calvinism a nailed-on theology? Something like that. I really don't know, actually. We decide kind of at the last minute, and then depending on who's coming on, if someone interesting or has a specific topic that they want to come on and talk about, then we like to do that. So
I have a consciousness Jones.
You have a what? A consciousness problem?
Consciousness Jones. Yeah. Do you remember Cheech and Chong? I got a basketball Jones.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I got a consciousness Jones. Oh, that was a great song. I fucking love that one.
Yeah.
And that really dates us for the people that can remember that.
It really does. But then, you know, I said in a game the other day, I was just playing the game, and I said, I'm outside your base. And then someone said, is Dave in then? And I went, Dave? And he went, yeah, is Dave there? And I went, no, Dave's not here right now. And he knew what I meant.
Dave's here, man.
Yep.
Dave's not here right now. No, it's me, man. I'm Dave. Let me in.
My favorite meme is there's a graffiti on the wall that says, there's no name higher than God. And then somebody spray painted Dave up on the top.
Beautiful. Yeah, I saw the same one somewhere else, and instead of Dave, it was Bob Marley.
I love those the things that Insane Clown Posse did in between their songs. They did these little routines. And, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
With Insane Clown Posse?
I have never really heard their stuff, to be honest, Speed. I'm a bit young. I'm
Really?
a bit old for that.
Oh my god. I thought their shit was great.
It's
Let's see,
intense.
they did one of
It's intense.
Drive Up. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, the drive-through. Okay. Well, let me see if I can play it for it. I'll probably get copyright strike for this shit, but yep. They do they do this whole thing on this guy's girlfriend is dead, right? And he refuses to accept it, so he keeps taking her around, and like, you know, she's kind of smelly, dude. And it's like, you got to let her go, and it's like, You're just prejudiced because my girlfriend's dead. It's just like, but anyway, there's this is the oh, let's see, I'm gonna get a copyright. I don't really give a fuck that I'm not monetized, right? We get no money for what we do here. We do this for free. Let's see.
You only do it like 2 seconds, or they're gonna.
Every time you go to McDonald's,
About fucking time sitting here all night. Right? Oh, that line's long as fuck. Nice. Let me get a.
Sir, no,
What?
No, sir, there's no smoking, sir.
No,
there's no. Put the cigarette out, sir.
Oh, that's a
No, I'm in
different
my
one.
car.
Your car's at a restaurant ground, sir. There's no smoking.
You're telling me I can't smoke in my car?
Yes, sir. By being in your car, this gives me the right to tell you no smoking.
What do you, that doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense, sir. Your car is on their drive-through parking space.
What do you mean? Because I'm in the drive-thru? That doesn't. I'm not in the restaurant. I'm outside. What do you mean I can't smoke?
This is a smoke-free establishment, sir.
You're fucking insane. What is wrong with
Stop
you?
cursing at me, sir. I will notify the police.
What do you mean you're calling the cops?
We gotta go.
I'm having a cigarette,
Pull
man.
off,
Yes, sir. No,
straight up.
I'm in
We
my
gotta get
car.
out of here.
the police are on their way, sir. Yes, thank you. Have a nice day.
Go.
What the fuck?
Go.
Anyway, they have all these things in between their songs. So, some of them are just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and
Pretty cool.
speaking of the police, we're here to remind everybody, at least in the United States of America, don't talk to the police.
Yeah, don't say anything. to
Don't
the
say
police
anything.
other than, My attorney. Yeah.
If they press you, you say, "I don't remember." They can't hold it against you.
Or you can just
Anyway,
say,
the routine,
I'm not going to answer questions.
the routine I was looking for is they go to this drive up and the guy comes on and is like, it's just all garbled, and then the guy talks back to him in the same way.
That's kind of classic.
Garbled. Yeah, it is classic.
I got a video where I told a cop that. So I don't answer questions. The cop goes, "What?" I said, "I don't answer questions." And they asked me another question. I said, "I don't answer questions." What? That's like, are you hard of hearing?
Now, if they do,
They don't like it at all.
typically if they ask for your ID, you have to present it. If they have, a reasonable, articulable suspicion that you committed a violation or a crime.
If you're in your car, then there's rules. You got to show ID, insurance, whatever the rules are. But you're minding your own business on the sidewalk.
I see these videos. I see these videos where people, where the cop decides he's going to have the guy come out of the vehicle and the guy doesn't want to. And so the cop opens the front door for him and yanks him out, like usually by the neck. Why do people have their cars unlocked when they're pulled over? I don't know why that is, because if they don't have a right to enter your vehicle, then why help them to violate your rights? And two, did I say A or one? Anyway, B or two, if they order you out, you have to get out of the car. But if they're just asking, hoping that you'll do it anyway without giving a real order, then you don't have to get out of the car. So why are you keeping your car unlocked? That's always bothered me.
Well, if somebody was driving recklessly or left the scene or something like that, but when you pull them over because they got a tail light out and then you're yanking them out of their car, it just
Well, the taillight thing is a reason to look for further crimes. For every taillight they pull over, they have consciously not pulled over. Probably 9 or 10 taillights.
That was just in the news. Don't speed when you're transporting marijuana and fentanyl in your trunk.
So in Minnesota, it's illegal now to pull people over for tab violations and minor car, like taillight out sort of shit. They have to inform you by mail or email or something.
Right, because they couldn't actually do anything because it's not against the law to have a light bulb go out. All they could do is tell you, hey, you need to get that replaced. But Scott said, it's just an excuse to nose around and ask you questions, get you to say the wrong thing.
Yep.
Kafai has astutely pointed out the other pretense is the I smell marijuana.
Yeah, that's what Minnesota police are going to start doing now. If you drive, like if you just aberrate a little bit on the road, they're going to do a drug test on you. And they're losing their shit in St. Paul too. They're trying to make it illegal to smoke pot in public because they made it illegal, or they made pot legal, right? So the police are all bent out of shape because they're losing their rights in Minnesota. Like for instance, there's a law that limits what a police officer, whether or not a police officer can body slam a student. The law says that you can't body slam a student and jump on them unless there is serious bodily harm implied in his actions. So the police are pulling out of all the schools and refusing to send officers around because the officers can't just body slam a student for smarting off for any reason, right? They now have to have probable cause that there was going to be a real, that there was some danger from the student.
Yeah.
So the cops are all bent out of shape about
I think,
it, and they're all pissed off about marijuana too.
yeah, I think when they say, when they're going to pull you over, I smell marijuana, just say, well, you shouldn't be smoking on duty, officer.
Right.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
like-
when the batons come out and you're toast.
Yeah.
There's an auditor that pulls the shtick on the cops when the cop comes up and starts asking him questions, and he's like, "Have you been drinking today? You're slurring a word," and he
Thomas,
goes
have you
into the
heard of
same
auditors?
stick back at him.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You've heard of auditors? Yeah, because
We have them in this country too.
Oh,
yeah.
you do?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, since you personally have made this an international, you've put the international flavor on this particular stream. What is it like in terms of people asserting their rights and things like that in the UK? Because I know there are differences. Like in some ways, y'all have more privilege or more. I'm not going to even say that. It's different in some ways. Like
It is different, yeah. I mean, we have less privilege, right? Because we don't have freedom of speech, not in the same way that you guys do.
Right.
Anyway, it's not constitutional. It's discretionary, and the other thing is we also have there's a civil law which says you're not allowed to get together in groups of more than 2.
whoa.
If you literally pass someone in, well, in fact, I think even a group of 2, it was made illegal in about 2012 or something like that, 2013. So they can manufacture offences that they can arrest you for.
So
even
they have
though it won't go very far. So you
they
have to
have
be
on
very
paper
careful.
offenses that they kind of ignore till they need it.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Under different laws, the terrorism law, I think it's
Yeah.
if they suspect you of something, and that's all they need is suspicion. They don't need like we had stop and search powers which got revoked some time ago, and then they reintroduced them. So they can stop you in the street and search you if they have suspicion. And it's worse, isn't it? Right, like the guy that taught his dog to, put up his paw when someone said Zig Heil or Gash the Jews or whatever it was.
Oh my.
He got arrested. He said it as a joke. He made his girlfriend's dog put his paw up when he said something like that. Okay.
Put a
As a joke.
monocle on that thing, you got a whole routine.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a comedian. The guy's a comedian, right? Anyway, they arrested him and he refused to pay the fine, so they put him in jail. And then when he came out of the court after they sentenced him, someone said, what do you think about this? And he said, what do I think about what? Well, you getting done for saying X, right? And the guy just went, well, you just said it, so do you think you should be put in prison? So, like, you know, literally he was turning it around on the media. The media come up and go, should you have said this particular
Yeah.
phrase, right, which you've just been arrested for? And he said, well,
Alec-
what phrase? You know, and they repeated the phrase. And they said,
Alex
well,
O-
you just
Alex
said it.
O'Connor just had a
So-
video up about the slippery slope of when you start to censor, then you're censoring, and then other stuff's going to take the fallout from it. And
Yeah.
he just posted that if anybody's interested.
Well, the judge, when he got convicted, the judge said something like, there's no context which can justify, you know, saying this. And that was why he turned around to the media guy and said, well, you just said it. And they said, well, I was just quoting you. And they go, well, that's context. And then the judge just arrested me for no context, said there is no context that can justify it. So just to show you the hypocrisy of it, really, you know.
Yeah, it gets pretty hairy when you start talking about which words should or shouldn't be uttered in public or what have you. And really, when you try to put any restriction on speech, then you're going to get it is a slippery slope. It seems to really happen.
And those laws are still on the books, right? And because they want the power to prosecute people, even if they don't have, you know, even if somebody comes up with a post hoc defense of what they meant or whatever, they still want to be able to prosecute people. So they never take them off the books, but they just say, right, well, we're not going to prosecute, you know, X, Y, Z. A load of comedians, of course, said, well, you know, look, we say things which are terrible all the time because they're jokes.
Right.
So what, are you going to arrest everybody? You know, and they went, well, no, obviously it's not, you know. And then the whole thing died down again, but they're still on the books. So
Right. So they
this
can
country
revive
is
it.
absolutely crazy for law. It really is. You know?
So in terms of law, and I know we've kind of derailed things here, Speed, but what about in terms of surveillance? Like I think this one company a few years ago, not that long ago, had a contract with like Boston or one of the Eastern Seaboard, one Eastern Seaboard city anyway, and they basically flew planes and drones and stuff on a schedule, just across the city, and kept this running series of data on just movements, traffic movements of people in and out of buildings and stuff. It would just take video, and then like when they would have a runner or somebody like that, trying to get away from the police and they couldn't find them, they would go and locate those the surveillance footage, and by cobbling it all together, figure out where he went and where he was hiding and go get him. And so it was this kind of constant 24/7 surveillance that they had contracted on a trial basis, and it was actually successful. But when it came to it, people were still too skittish, I guess is the word, to go ahead and adopt it on a permanent basis. Do you have that little level of surveillance going on constantly in UK, or is it? I know there's a lot of cameras.
It's all over the UK as well. So like there's been a couple of interesting like takes on it. Firstly, that they have laws which say if you're caught on camera, you can do a public request or whatever information request, and you can you're supposed to be able to get access to the footage of yourself on camera. So if you provide them a time and a date, they're supposed to be able to send you the particular footage. But of course, in reality, it doesn't work that way because there are so many cameras, right, that people can't keep track of the data anyway.
Right.
So you'd be surprised, right? And one guy basically held up a sign, "Who's watching the watchers," outside the MI6, right, which is the intelligence agency in this country. and he actually said who within one sign, and then went to another camera and said he is watching, and then whatever, and they wouldn't provide him any of the data. They wouldn't provide him any of the footage of him holding up the signs. I mean, that's it. So he complained, but they wouldn't do it. So
After
it just got caught in admin. You know what I mean?
After 9/11, with all the security concerns and everything, that was the thing. They're going to start watching everybody, and it's like you can't watch everybody, because who's going to watch everybody that's watching everybody? You know, it's just
they can't even keep the data. I mean, there's just too much data. Nobody has enough time to watch it all. So how are you going to know? Right? You see what I mean?
They just rely on AI picking out key things, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Face recognition or license plate recognition in this country is quite common. But the other thing they did is they went to the this least crime-ridden village in the UK that had recently spent however much it was, 100,000 on video cameras, right? And this place is like a sleepy little village in the back end of nowhere with mostly pensioners, you know. And they went to the council and said, oh, right, we'd like to see your control room for these cameras that you've just spent all this money on. And they went, well, we don't have a control room. That's like the local council has another control room somewhere in another place, and they take care of all of our feeds. So they went to that council and said, well, we'd like to see the control room. So they said, yeah, sure, you can come in and see the control room. And then when they went in to see the control room, the guy said, yeah, well, we don't take care of that village. So that's nothing to do with us, those cameras. So if you were on those cameras, we can't provide you with the data for that. So then they went back to the mayor, and the mayor said, well, it's this other village that have got the control room. We don't control it. So we can't provide you the data, right? So they blatantly break their own laws, you know, when it comes to these things.
They got magical data banks hidden away somewhere where all this stuff disappears to, like when it asks you to save something on your phone and then you can't find it ever again. It's like the lost socks. They're all going to this big, huge data bank.
The way it was introduced, because obviously civil rights groups were up in arms when they started introducing these things. And so the government passed legislation to say you have the right to see the footage. You know, if you request it, they're supposed to provide it, and that's in the law. But of course, they think they're above the law, so because they're the lawmakers, you know.
So as a citizen of the UK, do you feel like you have freedom?
Yeah, freedom's not something which is, you know, I mean, we're a monarchy here.
Yeah.
So what do we mean by freedom exactly? You know, that question has to be asked. There's no constitution. It's just a set of rules which people abide by consensus. So
that's interesting.
It's difficult, right? I mean, but for me personally, like I've signed the Official Secrets Act because of one of the jobs I used to do, and that means I can literally be prosecuted for anything that I say.
You signed your rights away.
Yeah, I had to get the job, of course, right? And that meant if I were to talk about something, say something legal or something I knew that was an official secret or was classed as an official secret, then of course I could be done for treason.
So, do you think it's best just not to talk about anything?
Well, that's what they try to say. That's what they try to get you to do, right? But again, there's a practicality to this, you know, which is it worth them prosecuting you? And if it's not, right, then you're going to be okay pretty much. Or if it's going to cost you, you know what I mean? For me, I'm too irrelevant to the government to even think about, you know, prosecuting someone like me for saying something stupid. They'd only prosecute me if I was actually giving away some kind of secret which was important, you know. If I was a WikiLeaks or something like that, if I had information, that's the only time that I think I would actually get prosecuted. You know, maybe if I was saying something, you know, maybe if I was, well, if I was in some hate organization or hate group or something like that, if I was a neo-Nazi or something, then maybe I would be under suspicion, you know.
Why is Midnight fucking with Pipeline Audio?
What? Midnight with Pipeline Audio?
Yeah,
What?
Midnight, it says Pipeline Audio was hidden by Athena, goddess of wisdom and warfare.
What?
Now it says Pipeline was unhidden by Spooky Bed Hair, which was a good decision.
Oh, you can unhidden people now?
Well, Spooky Bed Hair, I would imagine so.
Oh, yeah, I suppose he
Is
could.
Spooky a mod, is he?
Everybody's a mod on this channel. Oh,
good
what
point.
the heck isn't a mod? Oh, my God. What the heck isn't a mod? Pipeline Audio isn't a mod. Okay, view deleted message. So what did he say?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's wrong with holding the police account? Who the fuck? I just talked to Midnight. He didn't say he was on
Maybe he
here.
was being ironic, like hold the police accountable, and then your right to YouTube gets taken away or something.
Oh, Sparkle's here. There's a
Yes.
Sparkle.
By the way, I'd like to apologize to Pipe Audio. I'm on mobile, so I really hit it with
Hit
when
the-
that happened. So it was an accident. There was nothing. So
Okay, thank you. Sorry,
I hate it
Pipeline.
when my medication causes me to accidentally oppress people. It's just the worst. I sympathize with you, Midnight.
I didn't do. He didn't do.
okay. You know what? I'm gonna let that pass because I missed you.
Okay. Well, I've missed you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Can we get a mute on Wisdom, please?
Oh yeah. Anyway, Pipeline Audio. If you're probably the only one that's interested in talking about consciousness, I would love to talk to you about it if you want to come in sometime. But I'm probably burnt out today already. So anyway.
Yeah, and I
We did do it.
derailed us because I was interested in British versus
You guys don't
American
give a
civil
shit.
rights.
Y'all don't give a shit what I got to say. Anyway, I understand.
I've got lots of shits to give.
Well, I said that's one of the ones the apologists throw at me all the time. Where did consciousness come from? Like,
Yeah.
God,
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's at the source of most people that are real thinkers, right? Like PhDs and whatever. It's often at the very source of why they believe in God. They will, like this Josh Rasmussen, real smart guy, real educated. He goes through this entire process, and he gets back to the point where he was, lo and behold, when he was a little boy, because his father was a pastor, right? So it's like he started out believing in God. He became an atheist for a few months when he went to college. And then he reasoned his way back to God through consciousness. And that's why it's a fucking important topic. Even though I understand that nobody wants to talk
No,
about
Well,
it.
it's not
the
that. We
ND
did one on State of the Onion. I called it Windmills of My Mind.
Oh, you
We
did?
did. I wish you could have been there. I really do now. I should know. I'll
You
put a
gotta
link
fucking
in.
invite me because you gotta invite
No,
me, dude,
you have to.
when
You
you
have to. You have to sub to my channel. I'm afraid I can't invite people that don't sub to my
I
channel.
am sub to your channel, for Christ's sake.
Are you?
I have been for years.
Oh, thank you.
Years.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Same
I'll
here,
put a link,
Simon. As
put a
soon
link
as
in the chat.
as soon as you started making your presence known on this stream, I'm talking about on this channel, I
Yeah.
subbed to you.
Thank you so much, Scott. You always stop by, Scott. So I know.
I try
even
to.
have
I
the
try
bell.
to.
I was out of the loop, but I just subbed. So
Thank you very much. Appreciate
subbed
that
you.
as well.
And I delved you. too.
You
So-
what?
So, like, you get read.
Oh, you bailed me.
Speed.
Thank you. I wondered what I was tapping down.
Well,
below.
and speed, I got
Yeah.
a lot of interest in the
Okay.
consciousness when it comes to reading about and listening to about all the NDEs, because the NDEs just seem to be an altered state of consciousness, and that's all it is.
Right.
So if you want to talk about NDEs,
I love those.
That's the kind of stuff I'm into. Just so you
Yeah.
know.
I've
You know what's cool?
I've been married as well, by the way, so I know about those.
near-death experience as they relate to being married.
No comment
Yeah,
because my wife will probably see this.
I should have had an NDE. I should have had an NDE.
Love you, babe.
By the way, Speed, I do have a question as to why you named the stream The Myth of the Given. Interesting name. I'm just
Oh,
wondering-
that's from Wilfrid Sellers, his ideas on epistemology,
Oh.
which he published, I forget when, probably before I was born. And it is about, how the myth of the given, and it's been used, and it's a long story, and I don't want to get into it midnight.
Okay,
I got into it at
I
the
mean, I asked, so
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm actually an eliminativist when it comes to consciousness in a certain way, in that I believe that the given is a myth, and we don't really, like, we think, oh, everybody knows, everybody has access to their mind and what it's doing. No, we don't. Not really. Well, kind of. We can kind of remember things, and we remember concepts and we remember words, but we don't have instant access to our minds. We only, when we turn the light inward and start introspecting, we are doing something that is over and above what we normally do. In a normal day when you're up doing something, I really don't think humans are conscious at all. I don't think there's anything there.
Well, it depends what we mean by conscious, obviously, but
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you that I think consciousness is a post hoc rationalization of behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like when you think, oh, what am I conscious of right now? Normally you'll look at a blue light and you'll say, oh, I'm conscious of blue, I'm conscious of blue. But it all happens about 200 milliseconds after you're actually seeing the blue. And we know that. And it gets complicated. So eliminativism is, like some people straw man it as saying that, oh, we're not conscious at all or aware at all. I wouldn't say that. Okay. It's just we're not what we think we're doing. We're not doing what we think we're doing is what I would say. So anyway.
James is in the chat. He said he's late. So you need
James is
you need to give Mike a note for being late there, James.
You need to know.
Yeah, I remember when being late for school was such a process.
You had to get a blue slip.
Yeah, you had to go get in line at the assistant principal's office.
Oh my God.
Yep.
AtheistJunior remembers who we are.
AJ,
Hello.
Hey, AJ.
Hey,
how have you been,
you
sir?
remember who we
I've
are?
been good. I'm not like echoing. Am I? I don't have headphones on. You guys?
No,
don't?
you're not.
Okay.
You're doing,
No, I'm doing
yeah, you're cool.
great. It's been a great
What's up?
day for me in my life. How are you guys doing? It's been a while.
We're doing pretty good. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. I saw you did another Hovind video the other day.
I do a lot of them.
Still
You guys be
another.
more specific.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it's a
right.
nasty habit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
nasty.
did a debate with him that sort of blew up on my channel. It's got a lot of people watched it, which is pretty cool. My last one.
Really?
Good. I'm glad. Glad your channel's going well.
When I needed,
I can't listen. I can't listen to Hovind debates because Hovind talks during the debate. and if I hear him say dogs come from dogs and cows come from cows one more fucking time, I'm gonna rip my head off.
that's why we need AJ and Big Bad Mama, because they cut it up and have commentary, so it makes it tolerable.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that would be
Atheist Junior, were you on that discussion panel or whatever that Standing for Truth had with Dr. Dan and Zach Hancock, and then there were a couple of Yek
no, I was not
people,
on that.
and then Kent Hovind.
I was not on that particular one. Or if I was, then Dr. Dan came in later. But no, I don't think I was on that one. But I did go on an open mic. That was my last debate with Kent, and we debated for about it was supposed to be an hour, but it was like ended up being 2 hours, and then Standing for Truth brings in other people. It's this new format he's doing, which I'm not sure
Right.
how to feel about it, because like on one hand, I like that anybody can just sort of challenge Kent without having to set up a big debate and like have it scheduled. And he doesn't know who is going to be there, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, like, it's not good because, it's a StreamYard call. So if you have multiple people and they all want to get a piece of Kent, everybody's interrupting each other, but SFT, said that me and Kent would have an hour where it was just us, and then he'd bring people in. So that was good. But then, I can't do the thing where, everybody's trying to talk to Kent at the same time, because then everybody fucking interrupts me when I've made like 2 sentences of my argument, and I'm not finished, and then they butt in,
I think I pull. Is that AtheistJunior versus Kent Hovind open mic?
It
debate?
says heated debate. If you go to my videos tab, that's the one. But yeah, that was another one I did, was open mic debate. That was when I just came in, when, I just joined, like when SFT was bringing people in. After that happened, and I was like, this sucks. SFT and me were talking, and he said, well, the next time we do this, I'll have you on for the first hour, just you and Kent, and then we could bring people in. And I said, okay. And that's the like more proper debate I did with Kent, which is called heated debate, because it did get pretty heated. Kent was yelling several times.
Really? You got him yelling?
I thought
Cool.
you were referring to the heat problem. Did he have an answer for it?
I gotta watch.
Is that a joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dr. Dan got under Kent's skin on SFT the other day,
Yeah,
because
he sure did.
Dr. Dan kept ignoring Kent, just saying, basically telling him in so many words, "Shut up! I'm talking to real people here."
Well, yeah, I would have liked to have seen them actually like debate each other more, because that's what I'm talking about, was because Redefine Living, Kent and Dan are talking, and then Redefine Living asks Dan a question, and then they go back and forth on it for like 25 minutes straight. And I'm like, because I didn't see the video, and then Big Bad Mama recommended it to me, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like, this is like not good for my like content, because he's not even talking to Kent, and I don't know. It was just it's still a good video, and I like Dan, but that's just why I don't like that format, was because of stuff like that. And Redefine Living really shouldn't, have butted in like that. They derailed the whole thing.
I really doubt that guy knows how to tie shoes. I mean, he is just a boxer.
He's a doorpost, ain't he?
You should have seen him trying to debate Mark Reed on like what is epistemology. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. It was so dumb.
Oh my god.
And Mark Reed was just clowning on these people. It was pretty funny.
Mark's I think he's got a debate tonight.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, with Leo, I think.
With like a tag
with
team?
Leo?
Against Leo, or he has like a tag team?
No, with Leo, yeah.
Against who?
Oh, on Modern Day Debate?
I assume so. I haven't seen it. Do you know?
The Flat Earthers?
It's Modern Day Debate. I got the notification.
Who are they debating?
Pineapple on pizza.
Let me check.
Oh.
May as well be.
Yeah, that video, the heated debate, is at 21,000 views right now on my channel.
Wow, nice job.
Oh my
Nice
god!
job.
Oh, nice.
And those are views that SFT didn't get, so that's also nice.
So do you actually get checks from YouTube?
Yeah, I got paid
Like
today,
money?
as a matter of fact, from
Yeah.
YouTube.
Is it amounting to anything, or is it just buying you potato chips?
Depends on how good my videos did that month, but it's a good chunk of change. And then there's also Patreon.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a couple $100.
Yeah.
There you go, Speed. It's in the private chat.
Jordan and Arden.
Yep.
Atheists
my-
versus theists.
The case for atheism.
It really
Ooh.
depends on the video, though. Depends on how successful it is.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Should be good. I'm assuming it'll be on the problem of evil mostly.
That's a good thumbnail.
Huh?
Get on
Yeah.
Leo in the thumbnail. Like, case. So it's what is the question of the debate?
Well, the case
The
for
case
atheism,
for atheism.
and like Leo
Oh,
takes the positive
so
version
Mark-
of atheism.
Is making the case for atheism.
That's right.
The case for atheism is that
I don't believe you. That's the case for atheism.
I don't want to.
I'm not
that's-
convinced.
That isn't what Leo uses as the definition of atheism. So.
Oh God, we're gonna get into the definition of atheism.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it's going to be. I mean, I don't know, but I thought Mark was the disbelief version, and I think Leo is the belief version. So it
Well,
could go.
if it were me, I would say that the case for atheism is not going by just, definitionally it's about being unconvinced. The case, I would say it's a social aspect of an activism against the influence of religion, specifically Christianity, on lawmakers, politicians, specifically in America, who are Christians, radical Christians. Some of them were Republicans, and fighting back against that.
Yeah, that's
manipulation.
anti-theism.
Yeah, in
That's
the
a
old
case
days.
for atheism because that puts people at risk. People who are in marginalized or groups that have less resources than other people are being put in. Their target is put on them by these politicians, and I think that there's a case for atheist activism. Maybe that would be specifically activism, but because.
Yeah,
That's sort of where I would come from if it were me.
Well, that's more anti-theism. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
in the old
Yeah, the
days,
case
that's
for
the
rather.
definition of anti-theism.
My case for atheism is I don't want to.
I don't want.
I'm not
No,
convinced, and I don't want.
I think Leo tends to go with the logical problem of evil.
Yeah,
and,
I mean the problem.
Obviously, another one is
I
another
don't
one
think
is
that
the
one
Tang,
works at all.
which is the
I wish
transcendental
people-
argument for the non-existence of God.
Here's my debunking argument against the problem of evil. Have you ever played The Sims?
No.
You never played The Sims? Well, if you play
No.
The Sims, you will set your Sims' house on fire and put them in the pool and take away the ladder, and it's hilarious. You don't care about them,
Right.
so you don't
Right.
care about their suffering. So there's really, it's not outrageous to think that a God who is on such a completely different level than his human creation, if we're talking hypothetically where a God does exist, it makes sense that he wouldn't care because you don't care about your Sims, and that's, I think, a good analogy or a good analog.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't care about my Sims.
there are certain things called Calvinists, and they readily accept that God is a complete bastard. But in the most Christians hold to at least the idea of classical theism, in which case the logical problem does go through. But it's all a bit technical for my liking. I prefer the evidential problem anyway, if I'm going to go down that route.
Hello, James.
Hey there, guys. How are you?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
What are you
Awesome,
up to
sorry.
today, James?
So I just finished writing a blog that was a reply to some amateur apologist that the YouTube algorithm told me about, and he's only got a few hundred followers. Been there for about a year. It was a way to kill an hour, and then I noticed you guys were on. I'm like, damn it, I'm late. So better late than never.
I was going to say something to Speed, which was I was having a debate with a Muslim guy, a very nice guy he was too, and he said he didn't want to straw man evolution, so he said, "Look, I know that the argument that we come from bananas is wrong."
saying when you start a sentence with "I don't want to straw man evolution," that's like saying I'm not a racist, but
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
But
don't finish that sentence.
so did
never-
SJ invite you on, James?
She did. I haven't taken her up on it yet, but I probably will.
That's got to be good. I don't get an invite. She keeps saying I got to have you guys on. I gave her my email and everything. I don't get an invite, and I'm not gonna go begging. So
She might be scared of you.
This person in the comments
You don't wanna
section
talk
talking about Malcolm in the Middle, I agree. That's the exact point I think I was making. But okay, here's a thought-provoking question for you guys. Do you think people decide to be atheists?
I just
Decide?
outgrew.
Is it a conscious decision that you make, or is it?
No, you're now talking about the
No,
free will
no,
problem.
it wasn't.
Are we convinced by belief or to believe? Or, right?
Is
Or
there
do
any
we
scenario
choose?
where somebody could make that decision, or is it just like this is the
Oh.
conclusion that I've naturally come to?
Depends what you mean by free will.
Yeah.
Can we
I
will
don't
to
believe
will,
in.
as Nietzsche said.
I don't really believe in free will. I just think that I have the illusion of free will, and that's good enough for me, and so I'm
Okay.
happy with that.
Well, there
But
we
I
go.
can't-
So you're convicted to believe, not choose, right?
I'm a pragmatist, so I can't prove it either way, and I think it's sort of like a pointless argument.
It seems to be cumulative over time. It doesn't seem to be anybody just said I'm an
Yeah.
atheist. It's like
Well,
the thing is that like I basically kind of adopted atheism when I was 8 years old, but prior to that, I think I was an atheist. My mom kept bringing me to church, and at some point I just said, "This is bullshit," and I don't want to do it anymore.
that's the
So
exact same
don't-
experience I had,
Yeah.
and
saw it
around
as
the
like-
same age.
I always saw it as a family thing. It was just something families did. You chose a church, you went to church, you made macaroni art and Bible class and Sunday school, and it was just something you did. It was cultural.
And you went to Christian
But
summer camp.
I
I don't know.
I made many macaroni arts and wood burnings and all that kind of stuff. But it was like same thing. We went to YMCA camp. You know, it was just.
Yeah.
It
Wait,
wasn't
get
heavily
together.
religious or anything. It was a social thing. You know, it's everybody
Yeah.
in the neighborhood went to the same church. You know, that kind of
Well,
thing.
that's a big draw for religion and Christianity is that aspect of it. But Speed, what you said is my exact experience too, because I can remember being like 7 years old, and I can remember being 7 years old and going to Sunday school, and the first time I ever heard the story of Noah's Ark, and I was like, "This is bullshit! Like,
Yeah,
there's no way that
that
many
was
animals
it.
could fit on the ark." And then at that moment, I was just like,
It was Noah's Ark that did it for me.
"That's
too.
funny."
And the thing is that I got to hand it to my mom. I don't remember the beginning because it was too long ago, but she took me to church presenting it to me as something that I should look at, basically. You know, that you should go to church and listen about God and maybe, you know, consider becoming a believer. So my mom kind of presented it in a as an option for me. And I just thought of that now, today, all these years later, that that was kind of cool of my mom. She didn't try to drive it down my throat. She just presented it to me. And I said, nope.
My mother made me promise to go through confirmation because, again, it was cultural and social. You needed a place to be married and buried in.
Yeah.
So she said, promise me you'll go through confirmation, which was in 8th grade. So I did. I became a member of the church, and I did get married there. So,
God, when I didn't baptize my twins, my mom just about had a fit.
but that was the last day I went once confirmation was over.
Now you missed a trick there, Speed.
What's
you could have just baptized one as an
Oh
experiment.
yeah, yeah, as kind of an AB experiment. Right?
They don't have like a 2-for-1 special.
I should have done that.
Yeah.
I think that what your mom did is a good alternative to obviously like just making your kid go. But personally, I would probably just not have like if I had a kid, I would just not take them there in the first place because I wouldn't want to risk like some person or element from the church getting their hooks in the first place. I mean, maybe that's fucked
Yeah.
up, but I just wouldn't even take them at all because, you know.
Yeah, the first time my twins went to anything related to Christianity was at Boy Scouts. And I talked to the troop leader and I said, my kids may not want to attend this. And he said, okay, that's fine. But then they wanted to go and hear, and see what it was like. So they did it on purpose. So they went to this, like, I don't know what the fuck they had at Boy Scouts, a prayer meeting at one of our campouts.
I think it's called like Vespers or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it was like,
See,
and
ours was
ours
was through the school, so we never got the religious stuff. It was real secular because it was at school. We didn't have ours at a church.
Oh, we used to, like on Wednesday, we used to have religious where they would take us to one of three churches, Lutheran, Presbyterian, or Catholic. Every week would be a different church. And they called it religious, and we'd go there. And I remember one time they put ashes on our forehead between our eyes, and I'm not sure who the fuck that was or why they did it, but it was hard.
Yeah, it's Ash Wednesday. It's like
was that
it's
Lutheran?
Like, it's like after Fat Tuesday, but before Black Friday.
Okay, yeah, that's Ash. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an asshole in college. I didn't know what Ash Wednesday was, and my roommate in the dorm at the time walks in and he's got ash on his forehead, and I start laughing at him. I feel bad about it now, but that was really kind of a natural reaction.
Do you know your forehead's dirty?
You got some shit on your face.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
Snack. You got birds.
It used to be when I work on the car and I'd want to wipe a little sweat off my brow. I would do that, and I'd get this black mark on my forehead, and I just thought it was kind of like that.
Ash Wednesday is
from
that
Palm
where
Sunday,
a priest puts a cigarette out on your forehead?
They burn the palms from Palm Sunday or from the Palm Sunday the year before, whatever. Because we used to have the Palm Day where everybody got a palm frond.
Palm Sunday. That's
stupid.
To celebrate when Jesus rode in on the donkeys.
Oh, I got him.
Yeah, my dad says you can either have Palm Sunday or Back of the Hand Friday. I chose Palm Sunday, of course.
Open Palm Sunday.
Yep.
Now, see, I was turned off the Boy Scouts because when Cub Scouts and everything was at school, but when we went to Boy Scouts, it went to a church, and I was turned off more because it was more religious stuff involved.
I found a way to get Snack on camera. I bought him a new toy today.
He's noticed he's on camera.
Oh.
His asshole is on camera.
That's the asshole.
Come on, Zach.
This is a family show.
We know what he thinks of you now, Steve. We know what he thinks
exactly
of
what he was doing.
He's just showing his butt.
He knew what he was doing.
Cat. He's not very photogenic.
It's cats for you. What are you gonna do?
Cats are evil, and they're too smart for their own good, and they hate their owners. That cat hates you.
Yeah.
Doesn't like our.
As soon as you die, he's gonna eat your face off.
He will.
Our cat doesn't like our puppy either. The puppy wants to play. The cat wants nothing to do with that.
This guy wakes me up at like 3:45 every morning.
I'm just not a cat person. Probably because I got scratched by one really badly.
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful. They got claws.
So do puppies.
You ever dropped a cat and had them like
grab you? Yeah.
Or grab your leg with their claws as they're falling? That happened to me. And the cat was heavy too.
With no pants on, it really hurts.
It got me like Wolverine. Like I had like 3 claw marks going down the side of my leg.
Now he's playing with it. On the floor.
Cats that are like angry and hissing, they're fucking scary to me. Like I would not want to be like near a cat that's like that because they'll fuck you up.
They can tear you up, and bobcats are like about 30 pounds, and they can really fuck you up.
Yeah, they'll fucking kill you.
Probably kill you, yeah. Yeah, they're really good at killing shit.
A 600-pound octopus will make mincemeat of it.
Dogs are better.
Well, dogs can kind of kill shit too.
Yeah, but dogs are good companions.
Sometimes.
Cat doesn't
My
give a
dog-
shit about you.
My dogs take out a lot of critters.
When I went up north for 3 days and I came back, Snack hugged me for an hour, and then he went and hugged my coat. Then he hugged my suitcase.
Yeah, because he smelled like you.
Yeah, he missed me. Yeah.
Yeah, your dog is hunting varmints. I've been playing this hunting video game recently. Like, I got super addicted to it. It's called The Hunter Call of the Wild, and it's super
My son.
so hard. It's really hard, but it's fun.
That's multiplayer as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and like it really makes you think like a hunter, and like you have to try and like the guns are really hard to like use. It's not like a for Call of Duty, like, and you have to try and aim for the vital organs, and it's hard, but I've been enjoying playing it. You know, it's a cool game, and I haven't really messed with the multiplayer. I've just been playing single player.
Oh, okay.
But I got a gold medal the other day, so I was pretty happy about that. Finally.
Cool.
Yep.
It's funny because there are grizzly bears in this one area, and I have this I got this sound bar that has a subwoofer on it, and like there's like positional audio in the game because it has like the Dolby whatever, and I can hear it like walking up behind me because there's bass from the subwoofer because the grizzly bears have really heavy steps, and like it just comes up, and instead of mauling me to death, it just sits. They sit down. Like, I guess bears do that in real life. They just like sit on their ass like a person, and I don't know. It just cracks me up, kind of. They're just like sitting there. There's a giant fucking grizzly bear, and then I shot him in the heart or the lung. I'm like, I kind of feel bad doing this, but I mean, if you're gonna come up and sit right in front of me, like, okay.
My son's been
a year old now.
My son's been working on his gaming channel. Him and his crew are posting videos.
Yep.
That's cool. I'll subscribe to him.
Obsidian Marker.
What games does he play?
He's got a whole bunch of them. Him and his buddies are always downloading a new game. They were trying to do a premiere of some new game the other day, but they made an announcement that was sorry, that's the wrong version you got downloaded and everything. So he was all bummed out because he dashed home to do his premiere and he was going to be the first one playing this game. And then he's like, oh, I got to reload everything. So,
all right, I subbed to him. That's good that he's passionate about doing YouTube, though. That's the right attitude to have, I think.
He was all proud of himself. He made a banner and stuff the other day, and so yeah, he's working on it, trying to make it a little more.
That's good. You have to establish your brand, you know. Because
he's got a crew that he's been playing with for years now. So,
how old is he?
He's a grown man.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a younger kid.
Nope, my boys are fully grown.
Okay.
I'm old. He's legal and everything.
Well, shit. YouTube is still hard. I mean, getting started is hard.
Well, he plays a lot, and then you had to get the some kind of extra modem to download your games to cross it over to YouTube and everything. So he got the setup finally all set up and everything. And so,
is he on Twitch?
I'm not sure. I think he's on Discord.
Well, I think if you're gonna do like gaming, then you should have a Twitch stream also, because like YouTube is good for videos, but I mean the live streaming thing is I think where people really blow up. But I've tried doing that. Like I can't play video games and then like do the live streaming thing at the same time. Like I do live streams on YouTube, but I can't like when I play video games, I want to do it by myself. I can't like I don't know. It felt weird.
Owen's always playing video games over on Telltale.
Yeah,
I don't know how he can keep his train of thought because he's got a discussion going and he's playing.
That's what I'm saying. He's watching like a Kent Hovind video or some apologist video, and he's playing like Mario Maker and commenting on the video and like probably talking to the chat at the same time. Like I can't multitask like that. Like,
and giving his cats snacks.
yeah, I've seen some of those streams though. Like it's good
He
stuff.
loves his cats. Yeah, he does a good job.
I can't give snacks because he's not a cannibal.
What?
I can't give snacks.
He's a cat. What are you talking about?
But his name is Snack, so it would be wrong
Oh,
to
I
give
see.
snacks, right?
I see.
You can give him treats.
Give him treats, yeah.
Just give him catnip.
Yep. Anyway.
Oh, the puppy learned how to open his cage and go in there when it's time to go to sleep. So my wife the other day said, watch this. Time to go to sleep. He went over, puts his nose in there, opens it up. Went in there and laid down. So
yeah, let's see a cat do that.
And he's only a couple months old. It's just the other dog gets to run around and everything. We don't cage. He's only in the cage because we don't want him to chew up the furniture because he's still a puppy. But once he gets a little bigger, we'll lose the cage. But just for now, we've learned in the past. We had one dog that chewed a hole right in the carpeting because it had free reign in the middle of the night. And nope, never again.
I think I linked this video in my description, but we never talked about it. Josh Rasmussen.
I know
His
him,
argument from awareness for God, basically.
Argument from awareness of God,
Yep.
right? I'm aware of something called God, therefore God exists. Is that?
No, he's got three premises here. What the hell are they?
Sounds
let's
interesting.
see. Oh,
Well, it doesn't sound interesting. It sounds absolutely facile, but
well, yeah,
not-
the guy is.
if not semantic at best.
What the hell? It keeps going off that. Okay. Awareness. You are aware of your thoughts and not your brain states. Identity premise. If you are aware of. Oh my God! It keeps. Stop it. Pause. Okay. If you are aware of A and not B, then A is not B. Therefore, your thoughts are not your brain states. It's like, yeah, he really likes this one, and I don't
That's
think
a shit argument, right there.
it is a shit argument. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're aware of water but not hydrogen, then
Well, that was the
hydrogen and oxygen and water are not the same thing.
yeah, that was the prize-winning thing that he comes out against. Bob is aware of water. Okay, he found one in comments and he gave it the price. He actually paid him $100.
What?
To have the most liked objection.
Oh, I know this guy, Cesar Bernstein. Yeah, I've seen a debate with him.
So, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And anyway, but he cuts up his argument in an unusual way. Indirectly aware of H2O, indirectly aware. He comes up with a contradiction, and it doesn't make any sense. But
How can you be indirectly aware of a glass of water sitting in front of you?
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Bob is indirectly aware of his axon firing. Okay, I don't think he is. I don't know. You know, confusing brains, like they love brain states, but brain states just don't work very well when you're talking about mind.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they want to give the argument from intention rather than this particular one, right? And they just want to be
Danny.
obscurantist.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah, but that's what it all
Danny's-
comes down to, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
Well, our intentions, how can intentions come from physical objects? Because physical
Yeah.
objects don't have intentions.
Anyways, someday I
Quite a
would
big
like to.
question.
I would like to do a really intense stream unpacking all of that. This idea that you're aware of your thoughts, what and confusing it with being aware of brain states. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And the intention argument of Danny, it's just so bad. His argument is that intentions can't be law-like because intentions may fail, right? So there can't be a law of intentions. And he
that's
talks
intentions with an S.
no, intention with a T.
Oh, okay.
Talking about
With
T.
Danny, you have
Yeah,
to.
I know. He only talks about the S when he's talking about
forward photo.
Hold down
Steve, can you look at the private chat?
What's that?
Can you look at the private chat? Like, I don't want to like interrupt your thing, but I put a link to my video in there if you want to maybe show like a few minutes of it.
Okay, I do.
All right.
Where did it go?
I put the link in the private chat. I can put like.
No, I got it. I got it.
Oh, okay.
I just had too many windows open. Okay, hang on a second here. I got to back up a couple seconds because it was running.
I sent my boy a text and told him to check Twitch if he isn't already there. AJ, appreciate it.
Cool. It's twitch.tv.
Okay. So what was the time?
Okay.
14:07.
It was 24:37, I think, roughly.
Okay, I'm at 24, so I'll play a little bit of it.
Chart really looks silly. To change from a mosquito that lives on animal blood to a mosquito that lives on human blood below ground in London is still a mosquito. There's now 3,501, okay? And there's still a mosquito. But you think that is a bit of evidence that we should all say, wow, that proves mosquitoes are related to jellyfish,
Pause it real quick, actually.
starfish,
What
and humans.
the fuck is he talking about?
Maybe let me give a little bit of context really quickly. So just at the very beginning of the debate, my argument was as an example of like evolution was just talking about this species of mosquito called Culex pipens, and they are mosquitoes that moved into the London Underground subway tunnel during World War II, and they normally would feed on birds, but because humans were down in those tunnels where they normally weren't because they were hiding down there because of the bombs being dropped, they started biting the humans, and basically this species was separated from the above ground mosquitoes for so long that they became genetically different and they can't interbreed anymore because of the separation, which is allopatric speciation. Yeah. And that was my example. So that's why Kent is talking about that. And like just during the entire debate, he's just like, but it's still a mosquito. It's still a mosquito.
Well, that's just a straw man of your argument then, right?
Yeah, he completely got my argument wrong the whole time.
It's a surprise. So actually, the problem is not that he is just misunderstood the argument. The problem that you're having is that you're debating Kent Hovind.
Yeah,
true.
That is.
Yeah, I fully admit to that. It was a mistake. Yeah. But I do it. It's fun.
I'll tell you, the Hovind videos have done good for you. I mean, for your channel.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty
and
good.
if you get on a good thing, why not, right? Same with Darth Dawkins. That's why people keep watching Darth Dawkins. It's like a train crash, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to pick a loser like Sal Cordova to go after.
Yeah, you've been on the wrong horse, but you can play it now.
Okay.
Yeah. The problem is there's no.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Science. And now you're saying stuff about dates and tree ring dating. How does that help their chart here? Even if it was billions of years, we've never seen any animal change to any other kind of animal. The mosquito didn't change to a new kind of animal. Put them both in front of a kindergartner.
Has anyone lived for billions of years? Moses.
Oh, I like this. I like this. Put them both in front of a kindergartner because obviously kindergartners are reliable when it comes to deciding scientific issues.
Yeah, I mean, if I got a scientific paper and I'm having a little trouble with terminology, I go to the kindergarten down the street and ask them. Yeah. Okay.
This one, that's a mosquito. What is this one? That's a mosquito. A kindergartner can know the difference. You may not, but they can help you. They know it's still a mosquito. It didn't change. It didn't change species. And using the word species is dangerous because, like I said, there's 7 different definitions. I've given them to you before. Exactly what is a species? It's kind of a nebulous term.
AJ, what's going on in your mind right now during this debate? Like, are you thinking
circus music?
When I'm debating Kent, I'm focusing really hard on trying to not get distracted.
Yeah.
And trying to basically keep my eye on the prize and just stay focused on holding his feet to the fire about the topic that I want to talk about and not letting him derail and get me off track. So that's what I'm thinking about.
With the expression on your face, I was imagining lasers coming out of your eye and roasting Kent like a mosquito under a magnifying glass.
If I could just mention here, Redefine Living has decided to open his brackets, but not leave enough space to close it.
Right.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Also, I would like to know what award he won.
Yeah.
Well,
award-winning co-host. Oh my God.
I used to see him.
Donnie gave him an award.
I used to see him in Discord, and
Golden
his
turkey.
arguments are absolutely appalling.
Yeah, Golden Crocodile.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Golden Crocodile will be the award. Yeah.
Okay, we got to get through this part because I'm feeling like shooting it in the head pretty quick. So just to warn you guys.
They're obviously still, they look like a mosquito. They fly like a mosquito. And any
Really?
changes that they get is going to be a loss of information, not a gain. Did they gain the ability to do something mosquitoes couldn't do before? Could mosquitoes live on human blood before? I bet they did. They maybe didn't like it as well, but so they learned to live on it. I'll have to study that out. I will, believe me, okay? But
No,
what
you
you're giving an example of a mosquito turning into a mosquito. And I'm sorry.
It
I'm not gonna buy
can't
that.
interbreed anymore, Kent. So by your definition of
Different
kind
kind.
and by the definition of speciation, this is a new species. Therefore, it's speciation, which is defined as macroevolution. So that's the way scientists define it, not 5-year-olds. We don't really go by what 5-year-olds think in science.
So the two types of mosquitoes can no longer interbreed. I think this happens with thousands of examples of animals. I think that happens with cows. There are 450 varieties of cows now, and maybe some of them can no longer interbreed.
I'd fact check them on that one.
Maybe they've lost genetic code. Maybe one kind can't breed with the other, but it's always a loss of information. I'll research it, okay? But I'd be willing to bet the mosquitoes in London underground lost some information so they can no longer interbreed. They didn't.
What is
This doesn't know
information?
shit about information, for one thing.
Yeah, this idea that information is somehow a recipe to positively construct an organism is where they're coming from. But anyway.
What is information?
Okay, the DNA code.
So
The
they
DNA
lost some of
code
their
is-
DNA code?
I don't know. I'll find out. But I'd be willing to bet any animals that it's all we've seen in life is animals losing DNA code. Something
So
gets
you
scrambled
said
or
I
goes
would be
wrong.
willing to bet that they lost information, but you don't know. That doesn't make sense. You'd be willing to bet money on something you don't know?
Yeah, I'd bet money that they lost information. They didn't gain anything.
But you don't know
okay,
if they lost information or not.
that's all we've
Because
ever
you
seen.
don't know
So
what the information is.
okay, I've studied this in many other animals and plants, and they lost information, and they may lose enough where they can no longer be interfertile. Okay, but it's still
Okay.
the same kind. Anybody would call it the same kind.
So they lost some of their
example on the
DNA
textbook.
code. Which part specifically of their DNA code did they lose?
Read my lips. I did not study this one yet, AJ. I will study the mosquito for you. All the other ones
But
I
you're
have
willing to
studied
bet money on it.
lost information.
So you're sure enough to bet your money on it, but you don't know because you haven't studied it? Are you just guessing?
Absolutely. I am so sure that this book is true, and they will always bring forth after their kind. I'd bet my money on that, all $4. Okay.
That's your bias. That's where your bias comes in.
Okay. I'll make
Well,
it 10.
could you stop it there a second?
Somebody loan me $5 so I can make it 10. 5. Okay. We got $10 now. Okay.
Stop it there for you.
What's your next? So your mosquito turning into a mosquito. What
you say
else do you
pause?
have, AJ, that would make anybody want to
Okay.
believe?
Yeah, he said
Pineapple.
pause.
Okay.
Pineapple. Yeah, so
you
I
say
mean
anything.
that's the very point, isn't it, AJ? Right there, that he's just conceded, which is they always come forth after their kind. Well, you're now saying that these don't come forth after their kind, right?
Right.
Because they can't interbreed, right? So
Right,
they're different kinds now.
Yeah,
He's
and
just
I don't
literally
know.
admitted it.
I don't know if
Has
you guys
nothing to do with
caught that,
information.
but Kent Hovind seems to think that 4 plus 5 equals 10. So just probably one of my favorite moments of that debate. I don't know if you guys caught that,
Yeah,
but
that's pretty good.
because he says he says he has $4, and then he says, I'll make it 10. Does somebody loan me $5? I just oh, that cracks me up. But yeah, like that is of course that is the point that I made, was that this is considered speciation. It's allopatric speciation, which is, because the two populations were separated by geography, or just, being above ground and underground for a long enough time period, they became genetically distinct to where they can't interbreed and they can't bring forth anymore. So by the definition of species, by the definition of macroevolution, it is evolution. And by his definition of a kind, it's a new kind. And he even said, when I said that earlier in the debate, he's like, well, if two animals can bring forth, they're the same kind. And I'm like, well, okay, so you're agreeing with me. But he will literally, like, I debated Ken about this, where I explained to him, it's like, you say that if animals can't bring forth offspring, they're not the same kind. And I'm like, well, these two animals can't interbreed anymore, so it's a new kind, right? And he will just he will like change what the definition of kind is as you're talking to him. Just whatever in the moment he needs it to be, that's what the definition is. It's such an obvious contradiction, but he doesn't either doesn't care or isn't willing to admit, or maybe doesn't see it.
Yeah. Oh no, he sees it. I'm sure he sees it, and I'm sure he's just basically ignoring it because it's inconvenient. And that isn't what the definition of kind is. But when you ask him what it is, which is the next question, it's not to dispute that it's different to what he said. It's to then press him on what the new definition is. Right? And then the new definition, and then the new definition. Every time you bring up these examples, okay, so that's the example. Fair enough. That old definition is wrong. What's the new definition then? And then obviously people will then eventually see that he's giving so many definitions and they can't all be right. Hopefully, and eventually he will contradict the definition.
The thing with Kent is that when you debate him, you can literally do exactly what you said, to where you lay it out clearly and show that Kent is contradicting himself, and Kent will say, okay, and then he'll just either repeat his argument or change the subject. He'll just acknowledge that what you said is like, okay, you basically just showed that I am completely full of shit. Okay. And then he'll just repeat his shitty argument. Like, he doesn't, he won't acknowledge the fact that you showed he's wrong.
Well, that's what makes him one of the top grifters, and that's what makes him, all people come back. That's what brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, the interesting thing is right to the upper left of Kent is the Grifter 2.0, Donnie, who has been corrected on all of his bullshit over and over again, and he still keeps saying it over and over again, and he's doing the same preachy thing. And the thing is that guys like that box of rocks on the upper right, Sam, basically guys like that just buy that shit. And you can't.
I don't know. I like Donnie.
Donnie, I like him, but he's
you can like someone. It doesn't mean they're not a complete
he's
asshole.
A grifter.
I don't like Kent, but Donnie is,
I like Calamity Jill, but I still think he's a complete dick.
Well, I mean, at least with Donnie, you could have a legitimate conversation with him about topics regarding evolution, like genetics and different things. And like, you might be wrong or you might disagree with him, but he can actually have a somewhat intellectual conversation about these topics.
Yeah, but listen to him a week later, and he will repeat the same bullshit that you basically talked him out of. I mean, I've talked him out of things in privately talking to him, and then heard him the following day producing the same bullshit, except that because I talked him out of it, he got better at producing, at his preachiness, right?
Yeah, that's the creationist way, It's like the T-1000 Terminator, like you can shoot it with a shotgun, he just absorbs the shells and keeps moving,
Right.
It's not the creationist way, that's the grifter's way.
Yeah.
I just want to share this as well before you wrap up, just to remind people to go there when we're finished. Well, when you're finished.
Oh yeah. definitely.
Where are we going?
The Mark Reed debate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was
Just
in.
when you finish, that's all.
I was in a hangout with Donnie and with Mark Reed, and Donnie, we were talking about Chlamydomonas algae, and Donnie kept saying that there was a paper. He was saying that Chlamydomonas went from single cell to multicellular, and then later on went back to single cell. And I'm like, do you have evidence of that? Do you have a paper that says that? Because he kept saying it. I'm like, I know that's not true. Like, and the paper he linked me was just, you know, like the original paper about Chlamydomonas. You know what I mean? I'm like, this doesn't say what you're saying anywhere in this paper. Like, why do you keep saying that? Like, of course it didn't go back to single cell. That would completely like debunk the whole thing that makes Chlamydomonas so like famous and like incredible. If it went back to single cell, it can't go back to a single cell organism. If cells come off of that multicellular matrix, they die. You know, it's not. That's why it's not a colony, because you know they have different functions.
And before you go, I've got my plug in there, Mike, in the private chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've subbed to you, Captive, as well, by the way.
I subbed to your son's channel, but go subscribe to my channel because I definitely need more subs. I only have 8,000.
I'm subscribed. Come over to my channel. I only have 175.
Come to my channel.
I will sub.
Tuesday is Sea Monsters at the Grassman Chronicles. So
nice.
We're gonna have a good time with some sea monsters.
Beautiful.
Yeah, according to ChatGPT, it did not revert to single cell, and it would have killed it basically if it did. So,
dude, these AI sites are amazing. The sites where, like, you know, to prevent writer's block, you can, like, I went to one of these AI sites, and I basically said, like, write me an article with 15 bullet points about Kent Hovind, and it like spit out this article that was like perfect. Like it was incredible. Like those sites are really crazy.
My thumbnail is AI. I've been having fun with the making pictures.
Like AI art.
Yep.
Beautiful.
There it is.
Oh, where is?
Turned out pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Okay, I'll link that in the description, and you should throw it in chat. Okay, that when is that happening? 5 days. Christ, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive 5 days from now. That's a long.
Well, usually we do it the last Sunday of the month, but Trees we got to work around his new work schedule, so it's going to be on Tuesday, but it'll still be the same time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
And I never count on 5 days from now.
No,
I'm like,
I agree. I agree.
Trees has a new employment adventure, so I said, hey, we'll work around it. So he said, I got Tuesday off, so it's Tuesday.
Yeah, I'd sooner buy a lottery ticket than bet on being alive 5 days from now.
But it is early, so you know, for you and James.
Oh, cool. So it's at 5:30.
5:30 for you, yes.
So tonight I'm going to a psychedelic hangout. It's a psychedelic user group.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Huh?
Interesting, yeah. Are you taking mushrooms with you, or?
Of course.
No. Well,
all right.
Well,
you're just gonna look at pictures of Jimi Hendrix or something.
I'm going to take the fifth on that.
Now, when you say hangout, are you actually going to a different location than where you're at to hang out?
No.
It'll be online.
It's a Zoom meeting with it. It's a Zoom meeting with some kind of woo-like people from Florida. I told you about them. They have this like $80,000 fucking session where you can like cleanse your spirit or something.
Oh, wow.
But there are some. There is some good conversation in the middle, so that's why I'm going back to it. I've already attended one meeting, and then there's another one coming up next week on recovery from addiction and psychedelics, which I'm going to all these meetups and getting involved in the community and stuff like that. So,
people actually get addicted to psychedelics?
No. No, they take psychedelics to
Oh
basically
yeah, they microdose like mushrooms.
either microdose or macrodose.
Mm.
There have been some really spectacular results with quitting alcohol, smoking, and cocaine with single doses of psilocybin.
Yeah,
And
microdosing.
yeah, it's a group. It's a group that does that. Microdosing is really interesting because it turns out to be you get a serotonin blast, and it's like if you had somebody that was suffering a depressive like a depressive event that was life threatening. I think psilocybin would be an instant, almost. I mean, it would lift them up almost immediately.
Well, it helps with
'Cause you get a
PTSD too. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard,
like 80% of the people that took it one time claim they were cured of PTSD. It's like, what the
I'm
fuck?
not
I
sure.
don't
They
think
were
you can
saying
get
the same
cured
thing
of
about
PTSD like
They were
that.
saying this. They were saying the same thing about MDMA as well. Just to show.
Yeah, they're doing
I don't think
studies
it's.
at
I don't
Johns
think it's the
Hopkins.
particular drug. I think it's more the spiritual experience, the introspection.
Yeah, it's the psychedelic experience, which is close to a mystical experience. So anyway, but it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
My son says he is on Twitch, AJ. He's Obsidian streaming over there.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can
Okay,
get
guys.
cured of PTSD in one setting like that. Like, I mean, that sounds a bit.
I've listened to some of the accounts, and yeah, people have actually completely turned their life around after one experience with a
I mean,
therapist.
if your symptoms are
With a
gone, then who am I to say it did? If they say it worked for them, then
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
The first acid trip I did completely changed my life. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah. It can change. It does something to you that basically rips your brain apart and puts it back together in a different order. Not that
changes
I mean
your
that could be a scary thing, right?
I just
I think
laughed my ass
to
off.
me, it was about introspection.
Yeah.
I became a much more aware person of my feelings or the stresses of my feelings, I suppose.
Yeah.
By the time I'd done like 5 or 6 trips, I think I was fully at home in my own brain, shall we say?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there's
I
a big
just got really messed up. I didn't really like having a life-changing experience. I was just super high.
Yeah, you got to be.
I just-
I mean, okay, these people do this with a therapist, and they do it with some preparation, and then they do some aftercare, right? So I mean, you don't just fucking drive down the street and hit somebody up for some shrooms and fucking do them at a party.
I did it. I did it at a Nine Inch Nails concert.
Oh yeah, concerts.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was an experience in itself.
I once did fucking LSD at a Sha Na Na concert. Can you imagine that?
Okay, how about this one then? I did
Sounds good to me.
LSD with about 30 people at a Pink Floyd concert.
Oh
That's
yeah,
fun.
now that's,
A
that
whole
is
group
way
of
to-
friends, all of us
What-
loving in this little
lineup,
area. Beautiful.
Like what era of Pink Floyd?
This would have been in the 90s, I should think. So maybe was it 90s? No,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
the
when they
80s,
were doing.
80s probably.
What the hell's that big concert that they recorded? It's got a name.
The Wall
No.
of Animals.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't
shit,
an
it's
album.
not-
It was more of a reunion thing because they did lots and lots of stuff. They played for like 2
You
hours.
were there? Fuck, you were there at that con?
Yeah.
That
Well,
Oh my God,
Wembley
what's the
Wembley
name of-
Arena it was.
yes.
No, Wembley Stadium. It was Wembley Stadium.
Okay, they recorded that thing. That was the most awesome light show I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the one they recorded might have been in Rome, but the
Was
one
that
I saw
Rome?
was in Wembley. Yeah.
Okay.
Delicate Sound. No, it wasn't that. Maybe it was. I can't remember the name of it now. It was fucking amazing though. Oh,
I definitely think the concert I went to was the best light show I've ever seen. I mean, but
yeah. Well,
I'm
they've
sure Pink
improved
Floyd-
over the years as well, right? Because
Yeah,
I
there's
remember
the-
going to see what are they called? Yes, or someone like that. And it wasn't Yes. It was the guys that did all the trippy stuff with the poet.
Okay, I'm thinking of the
Anyway,
Pulse.
Yeah, the Pulse.
Simultaneous
That was it.
yeah.
Yeah. The Pulse. Yeah.
That was
That
fucking
that was the gig.
incredible. Holy shit.
Ah, yeah, it was
I watched that
fantastic.
about a month ago with a friend of mine, and I'm going to take the fifth on what we were doing, but it was like incredible. That was something. Yeah.
Iron Maiden was the best show I ever saw.
Really?
As far as
Led
stage
Ze-
show and light show and everything.
I saw the Led Zeppelin concert, and they broke out like something like a 200,000 watt amplifiers, and the sound was crystal clear in a stadium, except that after about a half an hour, your ears hurt. It was
And Iron Maiden was also the loudest. Yep, it
Yeah.
was hurting my head. It was so loud.
And ever since
cranked
then,
it
my
up.
favorite word has been what? What?
I think Timeless, was that the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour?
Yeah, that sounds more
Oh.
like it. Momentary lapse of reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's a
was
good-
late '80s. They went to Wembley. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good. Yeah.
Guys, I
saw
wanna shoot in
Zeppelin
the
as
head. We
well,
got-
but they weren't so good when I saw them, unfortunately, because it was a lot later.
I got things to do, so we got to end. Okay, thanks.
Go and see 2 hours time. Go and see Modern Day Debate, Leo and Mark Crush, whoever it is.
Yeah,
I'll be there. I'm
Yeah,
a
Monday
fan
watch.
of both of them.
Go microdose and watch Mark Reed debate on acid.
Yeah.
It's supposed to
Okay,
be a
guys.
positive experience, atheist. So
That'll be a mind expanding experience.
Don't put it past him.
I wouldn't think so, no. But
Hang
nonetheless,
on.
it would be an experience.
I'm going to end the stream. Hang around for just a minute. So goodbye, cruel world. We are